There is so very much to learn. You understand so little. One who knows nothing can understand nothing.
These videos are satiric reviews. You don't have to agree, but don't bitch about it.
You walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you...
So Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out early next year, and it looks like it's trying to make up for lost time by making this by far the most visually impressive and action-packed game in the series. I mean, Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Wreck-It Ralph, Big Hero 6? Just give me that shit already. Take my fucking money. Being that this is probably my favorite video game series despite its cartoonish nature and, let's be honest, sometimes overbearing, unnecessarily convoluted and complicated plot, I figured while we're waiting for the next installment, I'd go ahead and marathon through the series.
You walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you...
The story of Kingdom Hearts is kinda hard to explain, and that doesn't really change over time. Essentially, it's the mutant love child of Final Fantasy and Disney, hence why its lead character looks like he could easily fit into either one of those worlds. It would also explain why he looks like he's been robbing Mickey Mouse's personal shoe collection, and the story in of itself is a combination of its parents, using alternate reality versions of Final Fantasy characters and stumbling upon the plots of your favorite Disney movies as they're playing out.
Great job!
Most of the game is actually like what would have happened if you just showed up and interrupted the movies as they were going on. Yeah, excuse me, Pistachio, you mean to tell me we're inside a giant fucking whale? It's a story about an islander, and seeing as I myself am a bit of an islander, I instantaneously relate. Except my island isn't so much of an island as it is a dump. Because there's nothing here but trash.
Hey, Islander, what can I say?
You play as Sora, who lives on Destiny Islands with his friends Riku and Kairi, and Titus and Waka from Final Fantasy X, and Selphie from Final Fantasy VIII, but they're less important, so let's just move on. He lives a pretty mundane, peaceful life, as you do when you're an islander, such as collecting coconuts and getting the shit kicked out of you with a wooden sword by your best friend.
Don't tell me you're giving up already. Yeah! You still don't got it. Don't tell me you're giving up already.
And of course, talking about the possibilities of there being other worlds and exploring them. As you do.
Suppose you get to another world, along with any other worlds out there. I want to see them all.
And what was your method of travel again? A raft? Yeah, well, good luck to you, kid. Yeah, I know me and my friends were always talking about exploring new planets, but we're not going to do it through NASA or anything, you know. Our method of transportation is actually a pool float that looks like a half-eaten donut. So, pretty psyched. Pretty pumped. Like I said, he lives a pretty mundane life until his island is attacked by Heartless. These creatures who are after those who have hearts, as you might have guessed.
The door is open, Sora. Now we can go to the outside world.
What are you talking about? Riku? Kairi! Sora...
When the Heartless attacks, Sora loses both Riku and Kairi. No news on Selphie, Titus, or Waka because, like I said, they're less important.
Yeah! You ready?
Meanwhile...
It's just to hear this one. What?
Hey there, Donald. Good morning.
We got a problem, Goofy. But don't tell anyone.
When his island is consumed entirely, he finds himself alone in Traverse Town.
I bet you that,
What do you know, you big Toyota?
What do I know?
He's approached by Pluto and later Squall Leonhardt from Final Fantasy IX.
That's Leon.
And let's just say Pluto is a hell of a lot nicer in his greeting. After getting his ass whooped, Leon informs Sora that Sora is some sort of chosen one, as per the legal law in video game main characters. I mean, really, we should just be thankful that this guy could even talk.
Got a better weapon. My heart. It's grown with each new experience, and it's found a home with all the friends I've made. Then our hearts will be one. My friends are my power.
Actually, on second thought, I'm a little less thankful. While Leon explains that the Keyblade is a weapon of light made to fight off the darkness of which the Heartless come from,
I'm the great ninja Yuffie.
elsewhere, Donald Duck and Goofy are in the search of their king, King Mickey, who's left them behind a note telling them to look for and aid the Keyblade Master.
That's right. The Keyblade.
Both Leon and Aerith from Final Fantasy VII speak in exposition to let us know that the worlds all used to live separated in harmony and kept secret from each other.
They're supposed to be a secret.
They've been secret because they've never been connected. Now,
Yep, I too miss intergalactic segregation.
they've been secret because they've never been connected. Now, when
They find that the heartless invasions of these worlds are actually connecting the worlds and merging them into darkness. We learn that it's the Keyblade wielder's job not only to defeat the heartless, but to also seal the keyhole in each world to stop the darkness from consuming it.
have you heard of someone named Ansem?
And Sam?
They're also told about a brilliant man named Ansem who once studied the darkness and light, and that his research may be the answer in ending all of this. Donald and Goofy surmise that King Mickey probably went to seek this Ansem. Following the most annoying game of Marco Polo, I mean seriously, look at this shit. The Disney originals finally meet the Keyblade wielder, and immediately find trouble. Following a battle with a giant Heartless, Sora decides to go with Donald and Goofy, with a little additional prompting from the Final Fantasy gang.
Donald Duck.
Name's Goofy.
I'm Sora.
As Donald and Goofy have a gummy ship, and yes, that is what it's actually called, Sora can travel with the two from world to world while they search for the king, and Sora looks for his missing friends. There's Sid. Did I tell you about Sid? Sid's here too. There's Sid. So as they're looking for their respective friends, they battle the Heartless and seal the keyhole in each world, all the while collecting things that were scattered when the worlds collided, including lost pages of the Ansem report, which gives you a lot of backstory on what's happening, albeit very vaguely.
Those who lack hearts, I will call them the Heartless.
Brilliant.
Torn pages from the 100-Acre Wood, and the Dalmatian puppies, which you can find in treasure chests in each world. Which is actually kinda horrifying. Who locked these puppies up in tight, packed, small-looking chests? I mean, what kind of sick individual found each of these dogs and then locked them in crates together in combinations of 3s?
What kind of disgusting, despicable lack of respect.
Pete is going to hear about this one. You're also joined by Jiminy Cricket, so he can assist with putting together a journal of all the events that occur, and all the characters that you meet along the way. Right, because that's what we know Jiminy for. His career in journalism. How can you both be a conscience and a journalist? I mean, don't those two kind of contradict each other? The rest of the game is pretty much just going to the Disney world, sealing the keyhole in each world, while occasionally meeting up with a reboot Final Fantasy character. Hence why Cloud here is dressed as Vincent, and Aerith here is still alive. Like I said before, you're pretty much just intruding on the main plot of each Disney movie.
Oh, I'm late. I'm late. I'm late.
Take us to the gorillas. Gorillas.
With the big bad of each movie now controlling the Heartless in their respective worlds.
Clayton?
Not Clayton. Not Clayton.
Everyone remembers Tom and Jerry, right? The classic cat and mouse cartoon known mostly for their physical comedy. Well, nowadays, Tom and Jerry movies just consist of the two of them copy and pasted into other classic stories.
You stole fizzy lifting drinks. And to make matters worse, you allowed a cat into my factory.
I mean, these movies are so poorly made, not necessarily in animation, but in plot. They just place Tom and Jerry in the classic tale, hardly having them even impact the plot that we already all know.
So you get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
Luckily, this is nothing like that. The writing here cleverly incorporates Sora and friends into the plot without disturbing the original tale, for the most part, and still makes you feel like you're a vital part of what's going on.
Not so fast! No shenanigans aboard my vessel, boy!
Though the stories themselves are very condensed versions of the originals, and sometimes painfully so. For example, I feel like the Kingdom Hearts rendition of Aladdin kinda dismisses most of the movie, and most of what makes the characters likable. Let me give you a few examples. As soon as you're brought in, Aladdin and Jasmine are already dating. They're dating before he even gets the genie, and are on the run from Jafar. Aladdin steals the lamp with no reference to Jafar telling him to steal it. Upon getting Genie, the two hardly interact and the friendship just manifests because, I don't know, that's how it happened in the movie. Jafar asks to be turned into an all-powerful genie, but this time without Aladdin outsmarting him and prompting him to do so. Aladdin wishes Genie free without the two even having had the conversation of Genie telling Aladdin that he's a prisoner to his own powers. So if this for one reason or another was your first introduction to Aladdin, you're probably not going to understand how likable of a character he is, or even most of what's happening in the main plot. Hell, actually, come to think of it, by the time you get to Wonderland, Alice is already on trial, which only happens at the tail end of the movie. And by the time you meet up with Pinocchio, him and Geppetto have already been eaten by Monstro, which again, that only happens at the tail end of the movie. Although I don't have too many complaints about that because the Monstro world is actually really well paced and you get a good feel of who the characters are and what their relationships are to one another. As a matter of fact, this could have even fit into the original, it's done so well. Whereas Deep Jungle just kind of feels like a condensed version of Tarzan minus Jane's father. I mean, what happened? Did the gorillas get him? If so, Clayton might not even be the bad guy.
Ah, a snake slithered by. You see, I saved that poor gorilla's life.
Really, nigga?
The Hercules world, Olympus Coliseum, exists outside its main story as it's pretty much a tournament-based optional level. And it wound up being one of my favorites, thanks to the constant level-ups and being able to battle characters you wouldn't have gotten the chance to otherwise. Except for Sephiroth, fuck that guy.
But it ain't no lie, baby, bye, bye, bye.
On guard! Meet your fate! Rawr. Prepare to fall.
I enjoyed the crossover between Hades and Final Fantasy VII's Cloud, and he was a really good fit to their universe. Cloud works for Hades because he's looking for someone. And even after replaying it all these years later, I still can't tell if that was a reference to Aerith, Sephiroth, or hell, maybe even Tifa from the next game. I also find it a little weird that Cloud doesn't want to face a kid. Because wasn't Cloud in a terrorist organization? You're past that, buddy. The 100 Acre Wood was also another optional world as it exists inside a book inside Merlin's place. And while the story is adorable and the cutscenes are worth watching, I found the minigames to range from tedious to annoyingly easy.
There you are. What's going on?
Eventually you, for a brief point in time, meet back up with Riku in Traverse Town.
I'm not dreaming this time. Right? I'm not dreaming this time.
What the fuck?
The reunion's cut pretty short as Riku Batmans his way out of there.
Oh, he's gone.
Riku?
And not long after, you find out that Riku is now teamed with Maleficent and the other Disney villains, and he just gets to be a pain in the ass.
I didn't think you'd come, Sora.
That's what she said!
Eventually, it's revealed in Neverland that Riku's found Kairi. But somehow she's lost her heart, making her a soulless, lifeless puppet. Gee, Riku, you think maybe it has something to do with the people controlling the goddamn Heartless?
Riku, why are you siding with the Heartless?
You see, the Disney villains are all working together under the watchful eye of Maleficent, and each one of the Disney baddies are controlling the Heartless in their respective world. Their goal is to collect the 7 Princesses of Heart. Riku agrees to aid them if they're able to find and return Kairi to him. And what a helpful hand he is, as he actually becomes not just an accessory to their crimes, but the guy who's acting them out. As he successfully kidnaps Princess Jasmine from Agrabah, and Alice from Alice in Wonderland. And he even attempts to kidnap Wendy from Peter Pan, until he finds out that she's a false lead. Now a bunch of you are probably scratching your heads and saying, but V, Alice and Wendy aren't even princesses. Well, you're not wrong, by the royalty sense of the word. But when playing Kingdom Hearts, there's a few things you need to realize. In the same way in this game, how the word heart actually means soul, the word princess actually means pure of heart, someone who's born without any darkness. So their goal is to steal the 7 pure-hearted princesses, quote unquote. And remember that age-old trope of princesses needing to be rescued? Yeah, this does that cliche shit 7 times over, basically. Also, I'm still confused. Why was he trying to steal Pinocchio before? Did Riku think that Pinocchio was a princess too? Maleficent tells Riku that she can restore Kairi's heart, and accepting her word as fact, he continues to follow her, which pushes him deeper and deeper into the darkness. The Disney villains and their leader intend on using the 7 Princesses of Heart to open up the door to darkness. For some reason. Look, if they don't have any darkness in their hearts, right, and they're all just full of light, then why the fuck are they able to open up the door to dark? I feel like you didn't really think this one out entirely. I feel like you didn't think this one out. Maybe go back to the drawing board for a little bit, and because I feel like you could get really fucked over by the end of this. I don't know yet. Sora and company eventually head to Maleficent's headquarters in Hollow Bastion, where you find the Beast looking for Belle.
Our world fell into darkness. Belle was taken from me. She must be here. I will have her back!
Take her if you can!
Which Riku denies him. After a brief encounter, Riku actually summons your Keyblade, and just like that, you're stuck with that dinky wooden sword he used to beat your ass with.
Go play hero with this.
Not only that, but Donald and Goofy actually leave you too, as their mission was to follow the key, which you no longer have.
There can't be 2 Keyblade Masters.
But hey, at least Beast's got your back. Except when he doesn't. Thanks! So you make your way through Heartless, painfully so, until you reach Riku again. And in a matter of moments, he loses both Donald and Goofy, and the Keyblade. That's right, you should have stayed humble, bitch. Unable to accept defeat and still looking to save his friend, Riku is goaded into giving himself to the darkness. However, giving too much of himself, he becomes possessed.
You're not Riku.
It is I, Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness.
After defeating Maleficent...
Yes, a Keyblade.
There can't be 2 Keyblade Masters.
A Keyblade.
There can't be 2 Keyblade Masters.
But unlike yours, this Keyblade holds the power to unlock people's hearts. Behold!
The true darkness!
So after defeating Maleficent again, this time in dragon form, Ansem, the brilliant, all-knowing being, reveals that Kairi is in fact the 7th Princess of Heart.
Kairi's a princess?
But the door can't be forged because she's left her heart with Sora back on Destiny Islands. Oh, so that's what that was about. I had no fucking idea.
Let Riku go! Give him back his heart!
But first, you must give the princess back her heart.
Kairi's inside me?
Oh, how deliciously kinky.
Using the 6 Princesses of Heart, Ansem forged the Keyblade of Heart.
Yes, a Keyblade.
There can't be 2 Keyblade Masters.
And I'm gonna stop saying the word heart now because it's kinda hurting my head. Ansem forges the Keyblade to extract Kairi's heart from Sora. Sora, realizing that he needs that to happen in order to let his friend live, condones it, before coming to his senses and realizing what she'll be used for.
Forget it!
After defeating Ansem, Sora takes the blade and jams it into his own chest.
You walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go.
Sora takes the blade and jams it into his own chest, releasing Kairi's heart, and also releasing his own. And with the Dark Keyblade's destruction, it releases the hearts of all the princesses it took. Still following me? Good, because this is the least complicated game in this series. If you're questioning things now, well, then you might want to grab a notepad and a pen, because it's gonna get complicated.
I forgot Norden!
Is that gonna be on the test?
Are you really? No, he can't be. I won't let him go!
Keyhole is now complete. You have served your purpose.
No! You won't use me for this! You've gotta run! The Heartless are coming!
Confounded Heartless! Get lost, will ya?
Sora? Is that you? This time I'll protect you.
So just to reaffirm here, princesses, alive and conscious, Kairi included. Ansem, looking a lot less like Riku all of a sudden. And the keyhole is complete anyway, so...
Some shit is about to go down.
And Sora's a Heartless. You caught up?
Is that gonna be on the test?
Sora!
The two embrace and Sora's brought back in ways that aren't entirely explained. You return to Traverse Town, where Pinocchio and Geppetto have set up shop. You say goodbye to all your new Final Fantasy and Disney friends one last time before heading off to find Ansem and stop him from plunging the worlds into darkness. Ansem returns to whatever's left of Destiny Islands, where you face him more times than I can actually count. I mean, honestly, he's relentless. Every time you beat him, he pops right back up. Finally managing to defeat him, he still opens the doors, only to be blinded by the unexpected light that comes out. And I told you, you didn't think this through! Riku and King Mickey, yeah, remember him? Yeah, he's finally in this game. For like 3 seconds. And you know what, he's actually kind of hard to see too, so it's more like the shadow of King Mickey shows up in this game. Riku and King Mickey join together to help close the doors, trapping them on the opposing side. Sora reunites with Kairi only for a brief moment before they're separated. As the worlds are dragged apart, Sora promises Kairi that he'll come back to her, and looks on satisfied, as he knows that the worlds that he traveled to are now safe. And then...
Palpu fruit?
If two people share one, their destinies become intertwined. They'll remain a part of each other's lives, no matter what.
They say if you share it with someone you really care for, it binds you together forever and ever, through eternity.
I'm not crying, you're crying!
So Kingdom Hearts undoubtedly holds up, and is still one of my all-time favorite games. But with that being said, I do still have some questions. The fairy godmother mentions that summons, outside of the genie, are all characters who lost their homes to the darkness, and now that's all that's left of them is their spirits. She even says that when referencing your first summon, Simba. Then why is it in Kingdom Hearts 2 not only is Simba and former summon Mushu alive, with a full working memory of meeting Sora and company, but why are their worlds left mostly unharmed? Why does the narrator from Aladdin appear in the Aladdin world? You guys do know that's Genie, right? They can't just be two of them. Why couldn't Sora just use the glide ability he learned in Neverland when the worlds were separating so he could be with Kairi? Was he just like, yeah, that whole pow fruit thing, that was a bad idea. I need my distance. Peace! Why did Sora turn into a Heartless, but Maleficent turned into a dragon? Is this game suggesting that her dragon form is actually her Heartless? Because I could actually get behind that. I'm just asking, what's Cloud and Sephiroth's beef in this universe? I mean, Irt's still clearly alive. And also, why doesn't Sid have a voice? You gave every other Final Fantasy character a voice, but Sid, he just talks in dialogue bubbles. Did you know that they reused character models in this game? Well, I mean, obviously, if you ever played it, you know about this guy, and how he shows up all over the place, even after he dies right before your very eyes. He's in the shop, and at the same time, he's right outside the shop in front of a district door. How's that work? He's even in Agrabah, this time with the tan. So you know who else is in Agrabah getting tan? This bitch. And you know who else is in Agrabah? This fucking guy. Does he look familiar? Yeah, that's right, it's Waka. Waka is in Agrabah. And check out this dude from the first district. Yeah, that's Titus. Titus from Destiny Islands is already found. He's at Traverse Town. I can't tell you how much this confused me as a kid. I was so sure that these were actually the characters from Destiny Island. I mean, I spent so much time trying to interact with these NPCs in a hope that it would somehow advance the plot. I actually thought that these were heartless versions of the characters from the island. And maybe if I talked to them enough, I could trigger a fight. I guess the moral of the story is I was a stupid child.
You walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go.
The voice cast is near perfect, excluding that one Backstreet Boy.
Descend, heartless angel. Come, power. Prepare yourself. Show me what you've got. Every little thing I do never seems enough for you.
The game had a bunch of memorable Disney voices return to their roles, while giving some of these Final Fantasy characters voice actors for the first time ever. David Boreanaz is perfectly broody in the role of Leon, as you'd probably expect from a guy who played Angel.
So, you got a little demon in you.
I got a lot of demon in me.
And Steve Burton is so perfect in his role of Cloud that it's impossible to imagine anyone else as the character, which is probably why since then he's become the official voice for Cloud.
The great god of the underworld is afraid of a kid? Sorry, but my contract says...
I know! You think I don't know?
Sean Astin was good as Hercules, and I didn't even think that Mandy Moore was all that bad as Aerith. Unfortunately, this would be Billy Zane's only time playing the voice of Ansem, and it's by far the best. Even when the role was later recast, and that actor's been in the role multiple times since, most people still remember that douchebag from Titanic being the big bad of Kingdom Hearts. And it's not hard to see why. You can't duplicate that performance, even when the later games clearly try.
This world has been connected.
This world has been connected.
Tied to the darkness.
Tied to the darkness.
There is so very much to learn. You understand so little.
You understand nothing.
Kingdom Hearts! Fill me with the power of darkness!
Kingdom Hearts! Fill me with the power of darkness!
Not to mention the voice talents of Haley Joel Osment, David Gallagher, and Hayden Panettiere as Sora, Riku, and Kairi. They seem like odd choices all these years later, but that might be because they're not nearly as famous as they once were. But I mean, after all these years, they're still all just as good. It should be noted that this game is the only game where Sora actually sounds his age, and not like a 30-year-old man trying to sound like a teenager.
I'm Sora. What's so funny? I fought a bunch of monsters.
Are you scared? That's it. That's right so far. You know, I think I've been to this town. Traverse Town. Hey, what's with my clothes? Must be more of Master Yen Sid's magic. Secret. I'm back! All right! Olympus Coliseum, here we come!
Of course, as this game was made in 2002, I'm sure a lot of the casting was done to play off the star power of the actors at the time. I think we can all agree that Seventh Heaven, I See Dead People, Angel the Vampire, the douche from Titanic, and Christian Britney Spears were all bigger names then than they are now. Regardless, the voice acting is mostly well acted despite its cheesier lines. And the cast, well, the cast is well casted.
You walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go.
I think it's important to note that the version I was playing was the remastered final mix for the PlayStation 4. The final mix was an extended cut of the game that was previously only released for Japan. Luckily for us, after all these years later, it came here with better graphics. The final mix added a few more cutscenes, such as a showdown between Sephiroth and Cloud, which I guess maybe that's who he was looking for? It's pretty cool, and honestly I feel like it helps bring their story to a close. Or actually to an official open, depending on which way you look at it. Maleficent finding Riku lost in Hollow Bastions, which shows us how she snatched him up. A flashback to young Sora and young Riku playing on the beach as the door is closing, kind of making the moment just a little bit more impactful. And then there's this scene, which ties into the second game, followed by a pretty fun boss fight. There were new accessories, new abilities to learn, new weapons to get, and new enemies to beat. I remember thinking I found a glitch in Atlantica when I stumbled upon white mushrooms frozen in place. Mainly because, to my knowledge, white mushrooms weren't supposed to appear in Atlantica. But after I looked it up, I was able to help these little fuckers out, and holy shit, what the fuck is that, and why is that here? With that being said, there's a few changes the game made as well. Such as palette swapping the color of the Trickmaster, the Parasite Cage, Behemoths, the guard armor. And maybe I'm just an old man who doesn't want things changed from back when he was a youngster. But I thought the color change kind of made the characters come off as a little bit too cartoony and less intimidating. Granted, with that being said, the Trickmaster definitely looks more at home in Wonderland. But guard armor, come on, what did they do to you? The guard armor gets a whole new makeover, which I don't know, I wasn't really a fan of. Like I said, I kind of feel like the new look of these creatures kind of makes them look a lot less threatening. Not only that, but the developers didn't even think to change the looks of these beasts when they're put into Coliseum matches. And on top of that, in Chain of Memories, which is also a remixed game that follows up after the first Kingdom Hearts using your memories, you play against the original designs of the characters. So wait, which one is in canon? I mean, if you're gonna make a change, make the change last. Or maybe I just care entirely too much about what essentially is just an overly complicated children's game.
You walk away, you don't hear me say, please, oh baby, don't go.
It's pretty interesting to see how this game turned out, as it was originally going to be a lot different. For starters, this was supposed to be Sora. You'll notice that he's no longer a 14-year-old islander, and is actually a half-monkey, half-man hybrid with a chainsaw blade. Originally, they wanted to include the Pride Lands from The Lion King and a Toy Story world, which we finally got now all these years later. And they originally had the Disney Castle accessible. They wanted to include a Bahamut summon, which I don't know how well that would have fit in. Riku from Final Fantasy X was planned to make an appearance, but out of fear that her name was too similar to Riku's, which I guess it kinda was, she was replaced by Yuffie, who must be a ninja because she stole her original design. The Heartless almost look entirely different from their final design, and while some of these changes probably would have been inconsequential, I think that some of them might have played heavily against the game. Regardless of which, the final product really speaks for itself. I'm not going to speak too much on the gameplay, but that's mainly because, and I know how this must sound after hearing me review a game, I'm not a game reviewer. Actually, I'm not even that much of a gamer, so I'm probably not the right guy to talk about those things. But I will say that playing the game all these years later has still been extremely enjoyable. After all these years, the gameplay still holds up. And I can honestly say I had just as much fun now, actually, if not more fun, than I had when I was playing this back in 2002. The soundtrack is well made, and I can't imagine the game without it. I also can't imagine the soundtrack without the game, so the two kind of just go hand in hand. And the final mix really does have great visuals. I'd highly suggest it to anyone looking to get into the series. It's pretty essential. So with that being said, I'm the Social Injustice Warrior V Infuso, and if you like the words that came out of my mouth hole and you too want to become a VTard, don't forget to like and subscribe. There's plenty more where this video came from. Follow me on Twitter because, hell, why not? It's not considered stalking if it's on the internet, am I right? And don't forget to join the Discord. I don't have anything catchy to add to that, but just join it. Just go do it. And if you have a free moment of time and a free $1 to spare, then head over to my Patreon, where for just $1, you too could help keep this boat afloat. And if you don't have that $1, but you do have a free moment of time, then hit the share button. It will help me out tremendously.
V-tart, oh.
Ready for your super special secret.
Usually I ask for your intellectual contributions, your witty comments, but today I just want your opinions. Should I continue with this series or just nix it all together? Did you like the review or should I plunge a blade into my chest? Let me know in the comments. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed my review. I know that this is a re-upload. Some of you guys might have caught on that I included a lot of the comments from the first one. Unfortunately, I didn't get enough hate mail in that one. I was really hoping for something more fun to put on screen, but I'll accept praise, I guess, this one time. I had to edit a couple things around, plus I thought this was probably more the proper time for this to, you know, be here on the website, so I hope y'all enjoyed, and we'll be continuing this trend throughout the rest of the month. And by the looks of it, probably into the following month, because there's a lot more Kingdom Hearts games than I remember.